How's it going, everybody? It's me, Shane, and I'm here again to talk to you about Kimetsu no Yaiba Demon Slayer Mugen Train Arc Episode 5 of Season 2. It is entitled Move Forward. And before we get any forward with anything, just want to ask you to please like, comment, and subscribe. It definitely helps me out, and I definitely appreciate it. So if we remember last time, Tanjiro, oh man, episode Insult was so good. Tanjiro had some of the best lines that I've heard, uh, possibly in this series. He's a very strong lead main character, and he actually cut the head off of this enemy, whose name I found out is Enmu. Not once though he ever tell us his name, or maybe it's a thing that'll come up later, a flashback. I don't know, but yeah, this Enmu demon has fused with the train, but luckily for us and for Tanjiro, towards the end, Inosuke was awakened by Nezuko, and he's here to help. Funny enough, I want to show you guys this. I picked this up when I went to get my Shin Megami Tensei 5. What are these little gotcha boxes? What happened to the? There's the original box. I wanted Tanjiro, but of course I got the three boys when they were training after that long hard fight in that forest of death. Man, look how sleepy Inosuke looks. Wow. So let's go ahead and get right on into this. So of course Inosuke appeared. He's such a good boy. He appears in Tanjiro. Of course, he's trying to figure out how can they save everybody. There's only so much that he can do. He can do two cars, and Inosuke can maybe do the other two cars, but this is an 8-car train, and the walls and the floors are becoming goopy. I don't want to call it bloody mess, but it's like fleshy, nasty, fleshy mass. Um, Tanjiro, and I love how they do the recap on this, because episodic form, not a movie. So we do, he probably tells him the same thing twice. And by that I mean last episode he told him protect the passengers. This time again, he told him protect the passengers, right? And he said, you don't have to tell me that. I already know to do that. Jumps down, does the crazy cutting technique, and he's telling the sleeping people, and this is what I love about this episodic form. He didn't say this at the end of the last episode, because we did get to see the crazy cutting to leave us off on a not emotional high, but a blood pumping high. But in this one, he's telling the sleeping people that they should, celebrate him and get on their knees, because Inosuke Hashibara is here to save them. I love the fact he says his full name. Um, Tanjiro moves forward, and he's wondering, if Inosuke is going to be all right protecting the back, because the outside of the train is now changing into this goopy, fleshy mess, and he jumps inside. It's pretty dang gross. He does his water breathing first form surface slash to, cut all these fleshy tendrils that are trying to grab people. He's trying to figure out how best to get rid of all of this. And we see the demon guy. We can see his visage, his not well, it's naked form. It's kind of like how do I put this? If you've ever seen, if you haven't seen Digimon, you won't know what I'm talking about. That we can see him in a dark area, and we see that demon's face and his upper torso is naked, so it's to represent that his body is the train. And he's saying, he's gonna leisurely eat everybody. It's just what he's gonna do. As he is indeed ready for this feast. And I accidentally knocked one of the boys off. So Nezuko, she goes from her little tiny chibi form and grows to her normal Nezuko form, maybe a little bit, maybe slightly taller. I'd always imagined that her battle form was a little slightly taller. Gets the claws out. She is protecting these people, just slashing, kicking, not headbutting, but backhanding, and just making sure these people aren't eaten. Because her brother did tell her to protect them. And while she's protecting a kid from getting goopified, She's wrapped up. Her limbs are all held down, and looks like she's about to get done in. But out of nowhere, Zenitsu zooms in. Does his, of course, this dude gonna do one form of the thunder breathing, which that's all he needs. So he does the first form, sixfold, zips around and cuts down all these things, and he's saying he's gonna protect Nesco with his eyes closed. And of course, the thing I've been mentioning for the last four, now 5 episodes. Shouldn't he stay asleep because that's the best way for him to fight? And he is asleep. He's sleepily saying, I'm going to protect you, Nesco. His instincts of when she's in trouble is pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. We do get to see a cute Nesco face because she's confused, so she has the dot eyes, and it's like, okay, whatever. Um, Rolling down here with my notes. Tanjiro heard the sound of thunder, so he's wondering if that's Zenitsu actually being up and joining in the fight. He's wondering, okay, what about Rengoku? Tanjiro's doing his best to cut these tendrils, but there are people in this car. It's hard for him to move around. It's pretty cramped. But suddenly waking up is Rengoku, and he's saying, "Oh, so all this happened while I was dozing off. I'm ashamed as a Hashira. I'm ashamed. And you know what? If I could only crawl under a rock." He's saying all this with his usual smile on his face, and he just doesn't even yell out a form. He just takes the blade out, and then does like a spiral flame cut that cuts not just the car he's in, but like the next 3 to 4 cars. And just he's burned. He's not tragically, but he has done a job at magnificently burning this demon train now. And the boom was so big from his attack that it made Tanjiro kind of flip over and land against the door because he was having a hard time opening up these flesh doors. But he hit a door and he's like, "What the hell was that?" And out of nowhere, at the speed of this, Rengoku's in his face. And he's saying, he was slashing his way, flashing on his way there. He's saying, we need to cut this thing while it's regenerating so he can protect 5 cars himself. He says Yellow Boy and his sister, so Zenitsu and Nesco, are helping protect the back cars. And he said he needs him and Boar Boy to protect the first 3 cars. Try to find out where the head is. And Tanjiro tries to tell him that the car, the train is the demon, but he shuts that down and says, look, it doesn't matter what form it's in, he has a head. So if he has a head, that is his weakness. And again, he leaves in just that same instance. And Tanjiro is just dazzled. He even used the word dazzled. He's dazzled by Rengoku. The fact that he is able to quickly act, assess a situation, and give out orders so quickly and succinctly. He's amazing, but he's like, I don't have time to be dazzled. I have to do what we need to do. And he calls Inosuke. He can hear Inosuke on the outside of the train. He's running. He's running up top. Inosuke does his typical "shut up or I'll kill you." And already Rengoku has already talked to him, and he's like, that guy, that smiley guy, ordered me around. No, he said bug-eyed guy ordered me around, but something about him was just amazing. So I'm gonna let that go. Rengoku is he's the shining sun. It's hard to hate this guy. It looks like everybody likes him. I said that, and I think the first or second Tai show said everybody likes him. And Inosuke is saying he's so pissed about the fact that he had to call, that he thinks that he's awesome. Um, he also admonishes Tanjiro, saying you don't have to tell him to defend the first 3. He already knows, and he used his 7th form technique to find the weak spot already. Smart. We didn't even have to see the animation for that. I'm okay with that. It makes sense because we saw him do it in the Forest of Death arc. Now he's already done it here. He says it's in the front and it's really, really creepy. So it's in that coal train area, the little area where they shovel coal, and even Tanjiro was able to identify what area that is. Pretty smart for a person who's never been on a train before to already, pay attention to different segments and parts of the train. So Tanjiro's trying to get to the front too. He's swinging from the inside, going to the outside. Um, and Inosuke is able to cut open that very first front car, which there's a conductor in there. And the conductor's like, "Get out!" And you would scratch your chin and say, "Wouldn't this conductor man? Why wouldn't he be all freaked out about what's going on with the train?" More for that to come, because I thought to myself, I remember the conductor being asleep, or at least the ticket guy being asleep. So, um, Inosuke knows that machinery. He's like, "That's the head. I'm gonna get it." Hands come out of this thing, and Inosuke says what I told you guys earlier about it being gross. He says this is gross. It's trying to cut the hands. They're grabbing. They're giving them all grabby and stuff. They're trying to crush his head in. And then Tanjiro comes down with the sixth form, does the whirlpool cut, which cuts that whole entire car, not just the top, but cuts the entire car in half from, this way, was this horizontally. The train shrieks, the loudest shriek of all. Everyone that's in there that's not asleep hears this and is just like, wow. And Tanjiro touches the floor of the area that they're in. He's like, it's here. This is the main part of it. Uh, Tanjiro does a good job of dealing with Inosuke's little brother isms, like his whole, "You don't have to tell me that. I'm the leader. I told you that. You already knew this." He's he's brilliant with handling it during this situation, because he's just like, okay. He's not. There's no comedic anime argument. He's just okay, cool. Hey, do that. I knew that. Cool. And he uses his beast style, the second form, the beast. I'm sorry, Fang, second Fang beast style, to use his slice to cut right through. When he cut right through that one time, you see the neck bone, this giant vertebrae neck bone. So they have to cut it again to try to sever that. When Tanjiro goes for the water basin technique, too late. Water, not water, but the goopy, fleshy parts have already covered it up and is trying to defend it. So Tanjiro grabs the conductor, takes him back towards the cold part, because now they need to sync up their breathing styles to strike this thing one after another. And as Tanjiro moves forward, Inosuke, he's on board for it, because Inosuke's on one end, Tanjiro's on the other end. As he moves forward, Lumpy Massive Eyes does that stupid Eye of Force unconscious sleep technique. And Tanjiro tells Inosuke, "Hey, if you put yourself to sleep, cut your head off in the dream." He gets him once. He has to do it a second time, and he's five times. Like, he's like, "I have to wake up with my eyes closed, because if I look, it's gonna happen." And he's having a hard time waking up without his eyes being open. And so he being the demon does this so many times. Tanjiro's now on the train. He's about to cut his own head, and Inosuke has to grab his arm and throw him down. He said, "Don't fall for his trap, and don't die any lame deaths." Now, he can't put him to sleep. And Inosuke is wonderful in this regard, because he's coming through cutting the eyes, because he doesn't know where he's looking with this boar mask. He can't tell. Well, he didn't call it a boar. He called it mountain beast. But with this mountain beast on his head, he can't tell where Inosuke's looking. Even though Inosuke says he's too scared to look him in the eye, but we know what's happening. But I like the way Inosuke thinks, and so he's slicing all this nasty eye stuff. And the conductor, this dude, comes out with an ice pick and says, "Don't ruin my chance for a great dream." A loser. That's a word I want to say. Starts with an S, but I won't say it. Loser. Before before he even gets close to Inosuke, even though he's almost this close to him, Tanjiro comes between them and takes the blow, because he tells he tells Inosuke to watch out. He just judo chops the conductor in the back of the head, knocking him out. And Inosuke, like, leave that bastard. Don't worry about him. I'm thinking the same thing. This jackass is not thinking about the situation. He's willing to let hundreds of people die just so he can escape the harsh realities of the world. You're a dick. You're a dick. Even the tuberculosis kid is the most honest one, even though he's probably had his fair share of getting people killed already. He drug him to the side because even still, our boy Tanjiro, my boy Tanjiro's not gonna let him die. Again, he's saying, "Hey, we need to synchronize our breathing." So they flip out of the car, and now this thing has. This is like there's a trope for this where I think it's called impossible mass because massive tendrils they have to run up and then run back down as they're slicing has just burst forth from this fleshy opening basin of where that neck bone needs to be sliced. And the eyes are starting to appear, and Tanjiro's like, damn, he's gonna put me to sleep. I can't afford to go to sleep now. And Inosuke has it covered. He says, just follow me. He runs all the way down, slicing eyes as he goes, and does his fourth fang technique, the slice and dice. Cuts that nice little neat section for that neck bone. And just like if Tanjiro got the hot sauce for that neck bone, comes right on down, and he's speaking to his father. He's like, Father, give me some protection here, Dad. That blade lights up with that fire that we saw that last season, boy. He's coming down with that Hinokami Kagura clear blue sky. Straight cut. I love the effect on it because it's a spiral flame, does a double spiral flame. And even though it's nighttime, this whole time is night, there is like a hint of a rainbow during a clear blue sky. It slices right through this thing, killing this demon. We also get that same picture, of him from the waist up. We see his head coming right off. So Rengoku was of course correct. For whatever reason, this thing thought it can try to take some of the passengers with him, and that goopy flesh tart turns to arms that hands that grab on some of the passengers' neck. Rengoku easily, again, not even using the technique, one swipe with flames just severs all these arms. But now the train is starting to crash. The front part is turning over. We're getting a full on crash course right now, and that is where they left us. Just all around fun and action packed. The Thai show had me scared for a moment because Tanjiro's in the snow, and I'm like, was all that a dream? And he's like, what's going on here? And suddenly, this giant form comes in front of him. It is a basically a 7 foot tall, overly muscular Nesco with a giant booty chin. And she's like, I'll protect you, big brother. He wakes up, and it's a dream. He wakes up, and Nesco's there without her muzzle on. He's there, and he's just rubbing her chin. She's making Nesco noises because Demon Nesco can't talk. And she's making Nesco noises. He's like, "Oh, my sweet, sweet little sister. Oh, your chin looked like a butt. I'm so glad you're not a monster." He's like, "Oh man, I actually forgot about the Thai show." Oh well, but the next episode is called Akaza. No clue what's gonna happen next. I'm uh I'm happy. Seems like no one's gonna die. Actually, I wanna check something real quick. I thought there was supposed to be 8 episodes of the Mugen Train. As a matter of fact, from quickly checking, it's actually just 6 episodes. Next week on that 21st is the last episode, and apparently the official season 2 is supposed to be 4 episodes. I know it starts in December, so I am not 100% sure about that. Granted, I am okay with these studios taking their time. I mentioned before, animation studios. These people work too hard. Same thing with the mangaka; they work way too hard. Creator Berserk, he passed away from being ill like that. Many other wonderful manga artists who had to step away from series because their work and that work culture in Japan to, you know, if I have time to be resting, I have time to be working, which kills a lot of these guys young and leads to a lot of suicide too. I, if you only gonna give me 4 episodes in December, I am okay with it. Take your time. The manga is already over with. If I really, really, really want to know what happens next, if any of you or anybody out there actually really wants to know what happens next, and you don't have enough patience to wait, just read the manga, and then when the anime comes out, watch the anime afterwards. And I'm probably going to do that with this series. I typically either watch or read a thing because once I started reading One Piece, I never went back to watching it. And actually, I don't. I bought the last volume of Dragon Ball Z because I already watched it. I had no want to read it. And same thing with the Super anime, but I'm probably going to read the manga because I hear it's different. But regardless, this is Demon Slayer. Wonderful episode. Um, I have to say, man, I kind of wish that episodes 5 and 6 were pushed together so I can just give both of those like a big old 5. This here is a 4.5 because damn, I love seeing those two work together. To me, the last episode was probably the best, and from gathering from the ending of episode 3, where he's just like, "You're insulted my family and you played with my emotions. I'm gonna cut your head off." And he cut his head. It would have been great if that was the ending right there, but obviously this was a movie. It wouldn't have ended there. So, guys, for me and the boys here, I gotta know, what did you think of this episode? I'm definitely going to watch the Mugen Train movie after all this is done, just so I can see what subtle differences there are, even though I have an idea of what some of the differences are. Um, if you made it this far, tell me, what type of breathing form would you have? Right? With the the fire, the beast, the bug, water. What would you have if you made it this far? Please let me know what form you have. Like the video if you haven't already. I don't know why you haven't already. We're having fun, right? Please, if you're not subscribed already, give me a subscribe. And if you are, hit that notification bell and be sure to share the video so others can hear what a great time we're having with Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Mugen Train, Season 2 arc. That is a mouthful, but I enjoy saying that. As always, I'm thankful for all of you taking your time to spend some time with me. Please be good, be blessed. Wear a mask, wash your hands, be good to yourself, and be good to others. As always, don't be a jerk either way it goes. And I'm definitely gonna see you next time. We're getting to that climax.